it's very important for India to extract a price for its cooperation. For a long time, as a post-colonial country, we've just been happy to be involved in the club. Like, oh, you get elected to the UN Security Council for, a few years, and like, yes, we've made it, or, get invited to the Quad without actually asking for any of our interests to be represented there. And then the media celebrates, or our leaders like, look, we're a relevant regional power, we're in the Quad. But the Quad is still being used as a vehicle for Japanese interests and Australian interests and US interests, but the country that actually shares a land border with China, that actually has troops dying at the border, the Indo-Tibetan border, which hosts the capital in exile of Tibet. Why are we not talking about Tibet, Arunachal, about Aksai Chin in any of the Quad? It's because we're just happy to go along, happy to be included, and we're not extracting any price for our cooperation. A self-respecting, self-confident country knows its worth and then acts in its self-interest with both sides. Now, unfortunately, in India, we never really had that conversation after independence as to what our grand strategy is. What is the point of the Republic of India? It's at the moment, it's just a status quoist state. There's like everything, the way we inherited things from the British is the way things should be. We designed a perfect constitution in 1950, or like, Indira Gandhi amended it into a perfect one during the emergency, and there's no need for any change. But that's not how you run a country. That the rest of the world moves whether you like it or not. So you can't just start worshipping the tools like the constitution or the police or the judiciary or the bureaucracy or even the aesthetics like the planning commission and 5-year plans. These are just tools to achieve your goal. If you don't set a goal, then the tools are the only thing you have, and the tools become the point. So it's very important for us to set a national narrative and set national goals and set a national interest so that we can actually start pursuing it. Then every decision we make is, one step closer to that end goal. That's how every other mature, self-confident, sovereign country behaves. And that's why there's total consensus in the US or in China or in Russia, despite, whatever internal political factions or economic class conflict takes place. There's complete consensus on what America or China or Russia's place in the world is and what its interests are and how to pursue them. That's something that's missing in India because we haven't fully decolonized or haven't fully embraced the country, the republic, as a vehicle for aspirations. It's more of, we got this gift from the British as they left. Let's treasure our independence and not lose any of it or lose any territory. And be very risk averse and pacifist and the like. But people don't understand at the policy level as well that peace is acquired through strength and power projection. Stability is also acquired in that way. And the more you act like a sovereign country, the more you'll be treated as a sovereign country. And the more you act like a servile client state or act like a colony, the more you'll be treated as a soft state, as a weak state. That's a very important lesson that we need going forward, because in this new era of colonization, as Rajiv Malhotra called it, in this new, let's say, scramble for Africa, as it was in the 1870s, or this new, client state search in the post-World War II or Cold War period, we need to decide where we're going to fit into it. Because if we get recolonized, then that's the end of any dreams of being even a regional power, let alone a superpower. We'll end up like a Latin American middle-income country and stagnate there. Do we want India to become Brazil or Argentina? An extension, like a big market for US goods and a source for raw materials, and unable to exercise its own economic or political sovereignty? Do we want to end up like West Africa, its relationship with France, that it supplies its elite to Paris and everyone else lives in poverty with no infrastructure, no amendment, without control of its own currency, and they're just bombarded with media that tells them how great France is, and the education system is designed to make little Frenchmen and send them off to the metropole and create an unending supply of cheap labor? Or do we want to be a sovereign country that deals with the rest of the world on a basis of equality? And we have to recognize that if there are going to be two superpowers in this new scenario, superpowers will not treat other countries on the basis of equality. Superpowers don't have alliances, they lead alliances. So they will not come to your defense. When you join NATO, you're signing up to defend the US's interests. It's very difficult to convince the populace back in the US to come to the defense of Estonia when they don't know where Estonia is. But Estonia will be compelled to send troops to Afghanistan. It's important that we negotiate with our eyes open. That superpowers, be they the US or be they China, or be it the former USSR, they see the world as client states, so the ones already in their circles, as potential client states, the ones that can be won over, or you can massage the regime or install your own puppet there and make it into a client state, and rogue states, the ones which you have no hope of controlling. The US is very open about who they consider a client state, who they consider a rogue state, and everyone else in between is a potential one. So at the moment, we're a potential client state among at least the more generous members of the US policy-making circles. It's best to leverage that smartly and not become a complete client state, because to be honest, they don't see us as a reliable client state, that we're too big, too diverse. And the ideal scenario for both superpowers is to balkanize India, turn it into 7 smaller states, authoritarian ones, where you tell the dictator what you want and he or she does it. That's what they did in Europe in the past. There's nothing stopping them except us from doing it to India as well, as soon as we stop being useful to them. So that's why it's important to not just be running after the superpowers to make them happy, but rather acting like a confident nation, defining our self-interest, pursuing it, and gaining the respect in that manner, rather than begging for it.